Hi, everybody, and welcome to another Power of Business Friday 15 Hangout on Air. I'm Bob Birch. In just a minute or so, we're going to get to Connie Hancock and Kathy Bork talking about connecting your business and workplace culture to your bottom line. I hope that you'll stay with us for that. As you're watching the Hangout today, I want to remind you that you can submit your own questions using the Q&A app. If you're logged into your Google Plus account and you're watching this now, you'll see the Q&A app on the right-hand side, and you can submit your questions there, and I invite you to do that early and often so Connie has time to get those questions passed on to Kathy during today's conversation. Also, a reminder to visit powerofbusiness.net. That's where you can sign up to be alerted of future Friday 15 chats. Our next chat will be on June 5th, so I hope you'll join us for that. So we're close to getting started here for our 11:15 start time, and in just a moment we'll pass you on to Connie Hancock and Kathy Bork. All right, I've got 11:15, so let's go ahead and get started. Here's Connie Hancock.
Well, welcome everyone. Welcome everyone to our Friday 15, May 1st. Today is actually May Day. It is an awesome day here in Nebraska. It's beautiful and we all should be playing hooky, but instead we're going to take 15 minutes. I hope you all have your cup of coffee, and we're going to visit with Kathy Bork. She's got a phenomenal business that really is focused on helping small business owners herself, but wanted to share with you some more information about Kathy and the work that she does. And the thought process. I think there's a philosophy here that many business owners may or may not be thinking about. So, Kathy, welcome to our Power Business Live Chat.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much for having me. And I'm going to apologize in advance because my UPS man just pulled in my driveway, and I'm at my home office today. So hopefully you will not hear my dog go ballistic in the background. But thanks for having me.
That's part of being a small business owner is those multitasking features that you have to accommodate. So no problem. Kathy, tell us a little about your business. The PR Rocks, Rock Your Culture, Total PR. Tell us a little bit about that.
The Total PR is just kind of an informative workshop that I do. The name of my business is Rock Your Culture. And I got started with that because I owned a UPS store for 18 years. And as part of that, started a networking group with another business owner. And it was all women who own businesses in North Platte. And realized we would always talk about whatever was on our minds at the time. You know, do you do QuickBooks? Do you do Facebook advertising? What kind of marketing plan do you have? Those types of things. But the number one thing we talked about over and over and over was employee issues. You know, how to get them, for one, how to get them and keep them and get them motivated. And then that kind of led into conversations about customer service issues. And so I was like, you know, we need to tie this all together. So that's how Rock Your Culture started.
Well, that's awesome. And just to let our audience know, as Bob mentioned, the Q&A part of this as well. So as we get questions in, Kathy, I will forward those on to you. But why do you think it's important to think about your business culture and the importance of that to recruiting employees, recruiting customers? Talk about that a little bit.
Culture is one of these things that they don't really teach you a whole lot about in business school. So it's kind of a squishy thing that a lot of people can't wrap their heads around, but it definitely affects your bottom line. If you just think about any small business owner that's had to deal with turnover, knows that hiring a new employee not only costs you money in the training, but it also costs you money in your time and their time, and then if they don't stay with you. And then, like I said, that piece right there, those conversations and relationships tie directly into your customer service. You know, if your employees aren't happy, they're not going to do a good job for you. They're not going to give good customer service. So it's just that whole encompassing package.
Well, I can see that. And the consistency then from the customer perspective, if your employees are constantly turning over. It's hard to have that consistency with not only your brand, but then just having people know who you are as the business owner.
Well, absolutely. And even so my small business was a UPS store. Even turnover there hurt me, and my employees, had just basic knowledge and skills. So if you are running an IT company where you have people that have really high skills and they leave and take that all with them, you've also lost part of your knowledge base there. Yeah. So it's just working on that whole system to make it better for yourself and for your employees and for your customers. Kind of a win-win-win.
Oh, definitely. So as you work with small business owners or you have the conversation with them about their culture, what's the most challenging thing that you're hearing from the business owners, or the most challenging thing in order to help them?
Most challenging thing that I have found, and it's amazing, I found it across several different types of businesses, is getting your employees engaged and committed, because that's what will help keep you from having a high turnover rate. So, we've talked about with some of my clients that I currently have, what are some better ways that we can get them engaged from the beginning? And of course, communication plays a huge part in that. So many business owners I have found think, well, I shouldn't have to tell them that, that's their job. But you do have to tell them that. You have to tell them that over and over and over again. So that seems to be the main thing I hear a lot.
Okay. This spring I learned 7 times. If you think you've communicated, think again. 7 times in 7 different ways. So as you think about that, as we're talking about our employees, you may have to be really creative about how many times you tell them and in what format. It might be email, it might be face-to-face, it might be print. That's a real challenge as a business owner to think about if you thought you've communicated, to communicate even more.
Absolutely, because as a business owner, a lot of times you have to learn things the first time around, because if you don't, it's going to cost you some big bucks and another mistake. So one communication trick that I did with all of my employees is I always tell the story behind it. There's a really good TED Talk by Simon Sinek called The Why, telling everybody the why. He's also written that book. And that's one thing that I feel employees, even in my basic business of shipping packages and making copies and all of that, if I would tell them, okay, here's why we want to do it this way. Does this make sense? Can you think of why this makes sense? And make it into a story, they would remember it so much better, and it just helped for the whole communication process.
That whole concept of storytelling is really important because it does make it personal then, and then they can more than likely relate to that story of your experience and how that affects them.
Absolutely, absolutely. And then I would hear them repeating the story, so that's a good thing. It's kind of like, they're kind of like kids in that way, just because they do mimic or repeat whatever we're saying. So we need to make sure that it's positive what we're saying. But especially in situations where you can have something that major go wrong. So we did a lot of wide format printing as well, so the banners and posters and that. And just always having the story as to, okay, here's why we want to print it this way, and you need to be able to convey that to the customer, because when they say, oh, they're looking out for my own good, then you're just building that positive customer service experience again.
Yeah. Well, and some of this just makes common sense, but oftentimes if your new employees or your customers that are coming in don't know your brand and don't know your reputation, making sure that that's communicated is really important. So talk about how this culture thing fits into your brand and how people can relate that to their brand.
Well, it fits into all aspects of your brand. So, and that's where that total PR talk comes in that we do. So many business owners say, I need to do more marketing. I need to do the Facebook ads. I need to be on Twitter. I need to, whatever it is. When I did it, it was always, maybe I should run some more TV or radio or do a bounce back coupon. But what do you do when you get them in the store? You know, that's where if your image in your store isn't living up to the image you've created in your marketing, there's a huge disconnect there. And so it's definitely a piece of your brand.
Yeah. So as you think about when you do these workshops with folks, what are the first 3 tips or the top 3 tips that you recommend or you suggest to them to get started with creating this culture of the total PR and engaging with their employees?
Well, I don't know about the top 3. One of the first things that I actually tell them to do, so as a small business owner, sometimes you haven't gone through any specific training yourself as to, you just are following your passion, and so you open your doors, and you don't realize that, well, maybe I should have like an employee manual or a policy or, any of that formal written stuff. I know I didn't have it for a long time. So just having some basic skills on how you want every interaction to go. So like with mine, we greeted the customers 2 steps within the door. My girls had better be saying hi the minute that person walked in the door, and if they knew their name, I really wanted them to use the name. Not everybody's great with names, so I understood that, but at least just acknowledging them, saying hi, making contact. So just setting up your skills into very tangible things. Okay, this is how we're going to do this. We also had one on how we answered the phone. As a business owner, you're like, well, this is common sense, but it isn't always to employees. So, when we answered the phone, we'd always say, thank you for calling, because it breaks that connection, and that person then realizes, oh, yeah, I'm on the phone, instead of doing their multitasking thing. So setting up the skills, setting up how you want your communications processes to go. Even simple things like how should we write our emails? Make sure you're using capital letters and you're not just everything's in lowercase, stuff like that. So as many tangible skills as you can think of, and I know it may seem redundant or small, but it's those little bitty things that truly add up to the way the whole business feels, which is what culture is, how it feels when you walk in the door.
Yep. Because those first impressions are really important to the customer and how you make them feel. There's a podcast that I listen to, Andrew Locke, and he starts out by saying, marketing is everything and everything is marketing. Mm-hmm. Just everything we do is a reflection on who we are and who you are as a business owner, and how that affects your customers.
Right. And so back to that brand thing, if you're doing all this really cool advertising and you walk in and my store is dirty, or there is a layer full of bugs in front of the front door, it's these little things that we were in a strip where we were, and I would be like the only business owner that would go out and pick up trash, and my girls are like, what are you doing? That's not even it's not all our trash. I said, I know, but somebody has to do it, because I don't want my customers walking in thinking we just leave trash out there. Yeah. So it's every little thing, and my employees were always so big about saying, you recognize things that nobody else does, and I'm like, oh no, people notice it. They may not know what they're noticing, but they notice those things.
Yep, exactly. Well, yeah. Kathy, thank you so much today for being part of our Friday 15 live chat. We didn't have any questions today, but we will be sharing some links on our powerofbusiness.net. I think the TED Talk that you mentioned would be a great one for people to listen to, as well as we'll be sharing your information in terms of the Rock Your Culture website, and how people might be able to get in touch with you as if they're looking for more additional help on the total PR concept. So thank you so very much for being with us today.
Well, thanks for having me. It flew by.
Yeah, you think 15 minutes, and it does go by pretty fast. So we really appreciate the time that you spent with us today. Thank you.
Thanks, Connie.
Have a great Friday afternoon. So, as Bob mentions, our next chat is June 5th, and we are excited to have Tracy Frank from Firehouse Ribs join us. It's a bootstrapping food business. And so if you know of entrepreneurs out there who are into the food business concept, please join us on June 5th. Check us out on powerofbusiness.net. Sign up for not only the live chats, but our newsletter as well. It comes out once a month. Just tips on how helping you as small business owners think about your marketing, think about business practices. We do have one question here. The employees of small business owners, when they start out, are often family and friends, business partners. How do you get them ingrained in the culture?
Oh, it's the same. It doesn't matter if it is family or friends. I actually had some friends work for me at one point in time. It's the same as far as just, it's a business, and they have to know that first and foremost. And it's not personal when you tell them, okay, you need to do a little better job at greeting people. You need to act a little more personable. And the other thing is I don't ever do it in a cruel or malicious way. I've actually fired people that are still friends with me because I just said, it's not a good fit. So it's the same, just communicating what you want for your business. If they do go to my website, there's a place where they can sign up for my email, and one of the first parts, I send them 5 tips they can do, and one of the first parts is just figuring out what your core values are, and that's you as a person and for your business. Because once you know those, everything else just starts to fall in place.
How true. And those are all bits and pieces of this total package that small business owners need to think about before they either create their online presence or open that door. And we don't often take the time up front to know what it is that we want to accomplish through the entrepreneurial effort that we're creating.
Right.
Thank you. Thanks for the question, Glenn. Anyway, see you on June 5th. Have a great May. Thanks, everyone.